Welcome back, guys. Bitcoin started to drop now slightly to the downside, and I have a huge warning for you guys. That might be the beginning of the major pullback that we have been waiting for, and I'm going to show you what my exact plan is, where I'm gonna set my orders, where I'm gonna buy the pullback, and what is about to happen here over the next couple of days. Let's go. So guys, I will not waste any time. We jump directly into the DXY chart. The DXY chart is bouncing off here the 105.4 free level back to the upside. This might be only short-lived. Again, as long as we're not breaking above 106.5, there's nothing really to worry about here. Let the dollar range here for a little bit before we get another leg to the downside. We are just a week away of another FOMC meeting just before Christmas, and most likely they're gonna again announce a rate cut, potentially even a pivot with quantitative easing, which will then most likely end the pullback that we are seeing currently in Bitcoin and mark the turnaround for this bull run. When we're going into the CME chart, now here today, we have not really created a CME gap, or actually there was one. So you see here, that candle, was it that one? I think, yes. So here, that red candle, that marked the prior CME gap. But you see here, it got immediately filled on the way down. And now we continue to go here into lower levels. So I don't believe that we anytime soon come down here, close this gap here. I really don't see it happening because it's way, way, way too low. But there are other levels that we need right now to pay attention to. And one of these levels is still the golden ratio here on the weekly chart. You see the current weekly candle is pulling to the downside. On the weekly chart, we definitely could see here another attempt to fill these wicks here and get from there a turnaround and continuation into the 2.618 level. There is a slim chance that we are still going first higher from here and then to the downside. I'm going to show you in the next chart from where this can potentially happen and which level we need to hold for that. So there is a really crucial level that we need to hold. If we're not holding this level, it's over, guys. You know, so then we are definitely going to the downside. You see altcoins already majorly suffering from that small move that we had. And this was exactly what I was warning about. You know, so this might be just the beginning of what's to come here in the next coming days. So you see on the 12-hourly chart, we're getting a short-term bounce on the $98,000 level on the top of the EMA ribbon. Something like this is absolutely normal, that when Bitcoin goes down, that on the shorter time frames or even on the 12-hourly, that you get a short-lived so-called dead cat bounce. So what you see here, we came down, now we come a little bit up. You get usually close to the top of the prior candle. Sometimes you even overshoot that, but then you come back down and you go down even harder than you did previously. So this is something that you need to watch out for. Here, the VPVR cluster is again the reason why we don't see a really quick sharp drop to the downside with continuation. So then that might be a more gradual drop like this, eating into that VPVR cluster and then hitting here major support on the 12-hourly chart at $91,000, $92,000. So only here, if we lose that level, this is right now one of the biggest support levels for Bitcoin. Only if we lose that level, we might dip really briefly, like I mentioned before, maybe for 20-30 minutes with a wick below $90,000, but we're going to come straight back up and then continue to go then again gradually back to the upside. On the 4-hourly chart, here I want to mark out a short-term support level. There is, let me just find it here again from here. So this area here is the short-term support for Bitcoin. If we lose here this box, let me just make this here another color quick. Once we lose this box, Bitcoin will drop all the way down to most likely $92,000 here. This area here, don't get fooled by this. The $94,000, $95,000 area, once we are breaking here, this key support that is currently holding us afloat and gives us every single time that we come into this area another attempt at $100,000. Once that is broken and we go down here, this will not stop us with a bounce here. In the best case scenario, you get from here another dead cat bounce, and then we do something like this, and then you get the major flush to the downside. If it's not immediately happening when we get into this area, and this is just holding for a couple of minutes, and then you get straight continuation to the downside. So I would not bank on that this level gives us any kind of major support on the way to the downside. I have seen this many, many times where you have supposedly support levels between this major support and the underlying major support here, and you have support in between, and the price is just going through this like a hot knife through butter and completely ignoring that there's support, and it's just running through it to the downside. And here might be something similar be right now in the cards. See Bitcoin here now in the short term again bouncing on the 4-hourly chart, but as long as we are not breaking back above $100,000, I would not get my hopes up and that this was just a small shakeout, and we continue now to rally to the upside. So because the $100,000 mark is right now the most crucial level for Bitcoin to watch when it comes to the upside for Bitcoin, and unless we are breaking that level and closing, like I mentioned yesterday, a daily candle above it, or multiple daily candles above it, and start consolidating above the $100,000 level, we are not getting continuation into higher levels. Then on the MDX Algo gradient chart, here you see exactly why I have marked out that $98,000, $97,000 level, because it is the golden ratio. We are getting currently supported from there. If we lose the golden ratio, that's why I'm saying here that block is not giving us any support. Then we straight go down here from the extended Fibonacci level into the native 0.618. And that will be our major support, like the last time when we ran here into this level. On the gradients, we start to print now lighter candles. Exactly what I also mentioned, when we get lighter candles and price is cooling down, price will start to pull back. Also here we get the expansion on the reactor indicator to the downside. As you can see here, we are curving to the downside. So this might also now continue and will put more downwards pressure on Bitcoin into lower levels. On ZoomX, of course, my Solana trade is now suffering way more than it did before. I have changed a little bit my limit orders here. I'm going to talk about this in a moment when we get into altcoins. Again, if you want to trade on ZoomX with no KYC, especially if you are in the US, Canada, India, most European countries where you cannot trade leverage, use ZoomX. There is a link in the description. I'm going to give you a shit ton of altcoins where I have a plan laid out how I'm going to trade this drop and where I put my limit orders for these specific trades here. So, but only when we are done here with Bitcoin. So on the liquidation levels, you can see we have taken out the high leverage liquidity to the upside. Some degens came straight back here with 50x leverage. So here is still a little bit, but almost nothing. So I would not have here an area anymore. To the downside, we have taken out also here high leverage that had built up over here. They're still a little bit below us, again, to both sides here. If Bitcoin can reclaim the EMA ribbon on the 4-hourly time frame, that will again signal a short-term relief back to the upside. But also here, again, the $100,000 level is the key level to watch here for any continuation into the low leverage liquidity pockets that are sitting above us. Otherwise, if we start to lose the 50 moving average here at $98,000, again, why I'm looking at $98,000, most likely we drop all the way down here to the 200 moving average and wick slightly below that. I had mentioned that also in the past briefly, that I would expect something like this, that because it happens in every single bull run, you know. So at some point we come down to the 200 moving average on the 4-hourly chart, we wick below it, we come back up, maybe consolidate a little bit, and then we get a V-shaped recovery back to the upside. So when we are looking now here at the liquidity that has built up over the last let's take the last week. Let's stay actually on the last 3 days. So you see here below us is still a little bit at $97,500, a high concentrated liquidity. But if we are going to take this out, this liquidity, we are below at $98,000, and then we are at huge risk to run here in way lower levels. And altcoins will, of course, suffer way more than what you have seen over the last couple of hours, where everybody was panicking. In my Telegram channel, people were panicking. In my Discord, people were panicking. On Twitter, everybody starts to panic. This is usually the time where you want to start to buy a little bit of altcoins. Not go crazy yet, but when you see something like this, it's like the first dip, into the water to see if it has a nice temperature or not, before you go then all in and feel like, oh, this is really comfortable, So, and that's what I actually also did. I'm going to show that to you here in a moment, that on some altcoins, I pulled already a really small trigger because we pulled back on some of them already 5 to 10%. So, but here on the liquidity side for Bitcoin, with that short-term bounce, if we would get above $100,000, we most likely will jump all the way up here to $103,600. And from there, I would expect then another pullback, which would again give us another lower high, not a higher high with a new all-time high, and then potentially roll over. Unless we get above this, then it would open up the door to go all the way up to the 2.618 Fibonacci extension level that I mentioned earlier. So, and what's also really important is in pullbacks like that you have actually money that you can leverage. And if you want to leverage the money that you have, even if it's just $100, or you need at least $100 for that, go to Bybit. You still get a free $500 airdrop position on any of these coins that are mentioned here. You have less than 10 days to still take advantage of that, but I can tell you the pullback will not last until this offer actually ran out, so the pullback will be faster than that offer will be over. So you want to take advantage of that right now and deposit $100, claim your airdrop voucher, use the voucher, and keep all the profits. Trust me, you can make really good money on even small positions if you get the right entry. And I'm going to give you a shit ton of entries later. So when we go now into my altcoin trades, not gonna hide it, so you see here many of them are suffering way more than they did yesterday, but I'm fine, here, look here on my Coty trade, absolutely no issue, I'm under a cent with my liquidation price. On AVAX, if we drop lower, it's fine. I have still limit orders here above my liquidation price. Phantom, I have a shit ton of orders all the way down. And also here on Celestia, I have also a limit order close to the liquidation price if it goes lower. So no problem for me. I can hold these positions because I still have here over $61,000 in my futures account, and I still have another $40,000 on spot waiting that I can deploy. So I have still $100,000 that I can deploy to avoid to be liquidated and average down my entries. And then once the market is completely bouncing and we are done with this pullback, I will immediately sit in the green. So that might take a week, that might take 10 days, but I can tell you I will celebrate Christmas before Christmas Eve already with my portfolio. So now here's something else that you need to look at, and that is the crypto market RSI Heatmap. Look how many coins are heavily overbought, and that means they're overheated, here in the 70 to 80% area. So there's some meme coins are here. Here's Comp, One, Sushi, Curve. Uni is almost falling out of that again. XRP was here. Aave was here. C98, FIO. So a lot of them. So, but when you go to the 4-hourly chart, then you understand that here might be a short-term dead cat bounce, where you, for most of your altcoins, get an opportunity to get out of them if you're currently in a loss. So there might be some ample opportunity to get out of some of the altcoins that you might be stuck in. And I'm going to show you also levels for that, for not all of them, but for some of these altcoins, where you have ample opportunity once we get that short-lived dead cat bounce to the upside. Because here on the 4-hourly chart, many altcoins are neutral. Some of them start to be here oversold really soon. So that hints to a short-term bounce back to the upside before we get then that major flush to the downside. So and here you can see now on the Bitcoin dominance, the scenario that I had laid out starts to take shape here. where I said, hey, we will come up here most likely in the short term, run into some resistance here around 57% when the market is pulling back. We are on that trajectory right now, but this doesn't need to happen in one straight line, where tomorrow we are already at 57%. So we could have tomorrow the candle starting out to go a little bit higher, then it pulls back over the day, comes back down here, and then the following day you get then this candle to the upside, the next candle maybe here something like this, and then you start to pull back to the downside again, and then most likely the drop is already over and the pullback is already done for most of the altcoins out there. So now on the total free, also here you see that big candle today that came to the downside. I had warned you about this so many times that I said here, look, this is most likely what's going to happen. I mentioned that I believe that this was here the short-term top for the total free market cap, and that you should be prepared for a major pullback in altcoins. And you just got a taste of it today, where we pulled back from $1.4 trillion to $1.06 trillion, so $80 billion were wiped out on that move to the downside here in the total free market cap. And this did not really do a lot of damage yet, you know. So if you think that did a lot of damage, you have not seen anything yet. I can tell you guys, the real damage will happen when we start to break on the total free this area here. So once we break below this box here, there you're gonna see real damage happening in the altcoin market and the real havoc starting. So you're gonna get here also short-term bounce when we get here to the $1.04 trillion level. See here when we touch that box today already, we got here now that short-lived bounce. But in my opinion, this is only really temporary. So you're gonna get another move here to $1.04 trillion, which wipes out another 50 billion. Then we have almost erased 100 billion out of the total free market cap. Then you get a short-term bounce back to 1.09 or 1.08, something in between there, and then you get the massive breakdown. And once we break here $1.04 trillion, that is when your altcoins really start bleeding, where you get like 10-15% pullbacks from the price where they're at in that moment. And this is the opportunity where you want to load up on your altcoins when you get here under 980 billion dollars. That is the moment where you need to buy. That is the moment where you get a major wicks below support on your altcoins, and you want to be as much as possible loading up in these wicks when they are happening, that immediately get bought up, and then you have lost the opportunity in that pullback to get them. You might still end up on nice discounts, but the juicy discounts, like I said, they're in these wicks, and you want to get as much exposure as possible in these wicks to the downside. So I actually need to move here a window away that I can see something else here. Oh wow, 450 people here. Amazing, guys. One thing, if you're not subscribed yet and you like this content, subscribe to the channel, guys. Don't forget, if we reach 50,000 subscribers by April, I give away $5,000 to you guys. And also don't forget to smash up the like button. Smash up the like button, guys. You know, so we are here at a good pace today, only 20 minutes, a little bit less than 20 minutes in the stream, and already talking about altcoins. So we are at a good pace here. Now with Ethereum, I told you I was believing that here is the short-term top. If we would have broken it, we would have turned around from all the way up here, $4,380. So now in the next coming days, I would expect that we come first of all into the golden ratio. The golden ratio will be most likely also the level from where we get a short-term bounce back to $3,700. I would expect then from here most likely we're going to get another rejection to the downside, go all the way down into the 0.5 level. The 0.5 level will be your golden ticket that you might not get ever again in this bull run. So you want to layer some buy orders all the way from here, from $3,350 all the way down to $3,200. There you want to layer some orders. And I'm going to show you here in less than 2 minutes how you actually layer your orders in blocks like that, because that's also what I did with one trade specifically, and I'm going to show you that trade because I think this trade is running already in profit since I did it. So so just hang in here a little bit. So why the 0.65 level, the 0.618 level, because it is the golden ratio, and it is right now lining up with the midsection of the EMA ribbon. The midsection is usually the biggest area of support, which is also many times getting retested when we get into the EMA ribbon. So hence why we could get potentially from here a bounce back to the upside. If we lose that level, then here is major support, and from there we're going to get the bounce and run from here into new all-time high for Ethereum. Now for Solana, as you can see, is again retesting exactly the golden ratio here. We have the only problem with that is we have here a rounding candlestick formation, which also usually leads to continuation to the downside. And that's of course something that you don't want to see right now in Solana. But don't forget, guys, I still believe that Solana is one of the stronger coins right now because it had already pulled back massively, and the indicators have cooled down also massively in the last coming days. So, but there is still the possibility that we run here somewhere into this area here between the 0.382 and the 0.5 level. Again, just a wick into here, it comes back up, reclaims the golden ratio, consolidates, continuation to the upside. So I have still orders here around that 0.5 level, all the way down to like 201 on Zumex at least. That's where I have my limit orders. But I started also changing my limit orders here for Solana. Look here, they start now at 215, 210, 205. They were before all at 201 because I want to wait and see when we start to drop where Solana is and then adjust these orders. So, and that's what I actually did today. I started adjusting them to make sure that when we get that flash drop to the downside with that massive wick, that I definitely get filled on every single order to the downside. So if we are not hitting $201, absolutely fine. But I'm pretty convinced that we get like to 210, 205, and these orders will at least get filled here on my Solana trade. Now, I want to show you how I'm layering personally my buy orders so that you can do the same thing. I have some charts prepared for that. So let me see what is here. No, Telegram we are talking later about. So here, for example, for Link, here you have 3 different phases how I'm actually layering my buys in this upcoming drop. And to understand why I layered them the way that I did, you only need to take a Fibonacci retracement tool and you're going to understand, okay, look where here are all my levels. I think this one, come on, a little bit lower than this. So I pulled it from here, yes. So here from that low. So here you see in these areas are all Fibonacci retracement levels. So here in the first phase, I only deployed 10% of the money that I want to use to buy the dip on Link or open a new position. And then within that area, what I do within the area, so here from $22.64 to $21.93, I place 3 limit orders. So you can use, for example, you take one order at $22.64, you make it only 2% out of the 10% here. Then you take another 4% out of the 10% here at like 22.2, and then 21.93 you place the other 4% out of the 10%. That adds up to the total 10% that you have over here. And if you get filled on that, okay, you let it run. If we drop lower, you have another 30% here in that second phase at the 0.5 level. And again, you layer here your buys, you know. So here it's now, again, 10% every time I use 3 orders. So 10%, 10%, 10%, which are adding up to 30%. And I do the same thing here at the golden ratio. Again, 10%, 10%, 10%. So, but if you now add this up, you see that's only 70%. So where's the other 30%? The other 30% is left if by any chance I see something like this happening. So then I have 30% that I can deploy in that area if we break here below the phase 3 on link now in this example. So, and this is absolutely fine, you know, for that reason I have this extra 30%. So what do I do if it's not hitting exactly these levels, you know, so and it's not breaking below my phase 3. So what I do then is, if I see that we are above phase 3 and we go back into phase 2, here I start adding the last 30% that I have, and will use half of it. Now 15% is what I gonna add here again. And then when we start to break above that and go in direction of phase 1, before we reach phase 1, I deploy the other 15%. And before we are back in phase 1, anyway, you are already in massive profit, and you just have added a little bit more to your position, but you're still in profit. And when we break above the first phase, you're in massive profits overall already. And now you can trade this into the next take profit level, which will be somewhere around $50 for link. So this is how you set your limit orders on a pullback. I have to mention it also here, guys, you will not get filled on every single coin where you set up your limit orders like this, because some coins will drop more shallow, some coins will drop lower, some coins will hit everything, some coins will only hit partially your orders. This is absolutely normal. So, but you take your winners and you move on, and if you have money left over, you use that and put that on the side to buy the dips that come along the way. So now when I continue here with TON, it's exactly the same thing here. Look at these prices, guys, you know, screenshot that, stop the video if you have to, that you see here where you start layering your orders here in that pullback. You see here TON came also really close to phase 1, but did not really touch it yet. So here I'm actually waiting for, because here is also a high probability that we come all the way down to at least the $6 level. The problem with Telegram is quite strong, and we were for a long time, as you can see here, below the $6 level. So there is a high probability that we are actually not getting a massive move below it. If the $6 level should hold in a bigger correction across the market, then I might deploy actually a little bit more capital than just 10% on that bounce here back to the upside. So, but I still have it laid out here in the same way, because it is a bull market. You never know how deep we are going to pull back, you know. So, but I have these levels across different Fibonacci retracement zones, and they have proven usually to be really strong bounce levels where you can add to your positions before we get continuation to the upside. The same goes with SUI. So SUI is one of the trades that I'm actually currently up, because that was one of the coins where I started to get exposure. So you see here, I'm up 3-4% already on my SUI trade. I'm going to show that trade here in a second to you guys. So, but I still believe that this might be just a dead cat bounce, you know. So even though I'm now up on my position, I still believe we're gonna come back down here and get at least into the phase 2. If we get phase 3, I'm not so sure, you know. So, but again, you have to need some lottery tickets in the game, you know. So if the lottery hits, you are happy. If not, then you still have your phase 2 where I can add more of my capital that I have right now already in this trade. So as you can see here, I opened now on Alpha X a trade for SUI, because I was like, hell, you know, I have so much money already on Phantom. I don't need to have another Phantom trade on Alpha X. So I just use capital that I have on Alpha X to open a SUI trade. So you can see here, I have $2,100 overall on Alpha X on my futures account. So as you can see here, I only use 10% of it. I'm here already up 11% on that position right now, just because I bought in one of the bounce levels that you can see with the Fibonacci retracement tool. It's really that simple, guys. You lay out your plan, you act according to your plan, and as you can see, it works, you know. So if it drops lower, as you can see, I lay out my orders here, exactly as I mentioned it to you. And I have done it on Bybit also the same way. I have done it the same way on ZoomX. This is how I layer my orders into major support. If support gets broken, I go into the next major level of support. And from here, most likely it's going to bounce back to the upside. And I will stay in profit overall when we get the big impulse move back to the upside into higher levels. So, and as you can see, also here, I have left 30% on the side just in case that we drop a little bit lower. Let's say we come here to $3.17, then I can buy all the way back down here if it's going to happen. So for that specific reason, I left that money sideline and did not put any limit orders in. Now, the next one is render. Also here on render, I need a daily chart for this and scroll a little bit down. So here, render just started to pull back. Also one of the stronger coins in this bull run, but also here, so when we're looking at this, so from where did I pull this? From here, yes, I think, or when did I, all the way down here? No, so I took this from here, yes. So here you can see my phase 3 is a little bit below the golden ratio, and let me explain you why. Render has the uncanny ability when Bitcoin goes down and massive go down to pull back really harsh to the downside. So for that reason, I said, okay, Render has not spent a lot of time around the $7.16 level and might retest this just with a wick to the downside here and tap into this and then do something like this. So that's why I have only 40% across phase 1 and phase 2, and 50%, again, big lottery ticket, here in my phase 3. You know, so if it's not happening and it bounces somewhere below phase 2, you know, and does something like this and does something like this, I will cancel the limit orders down here. I will take 30% out of the 50% and start adding in that area here. If it then, for some weird reason, still turns around, I still had 20% down there, you know, so just in case to get filled before this is turning around. Otherwise, same plan again. I gonna layer my orders, you know, so on the way back up, I gonna add more to it until I'm fully deployed before we reach here back $9.16 and then start to be in massive profit on our positions. So the next one is AVAX. Also, AVAX is currently on the way down. So here I took a gamble when I opened that trade, as many of you actually knew, you know, so I literally bought more or less the top here. But it was a gamble, you know, so I knew if it breaks, it's going to send, and I did not want to get left behind. If it breaks, and it looked like it wanted to break, that's why I took that chance, you know, so and I actually took it over here in that wick, you know, because as you can see here, it looked like it wants to go, and when I got in, it was not up here yet, so that's why I was like, oh, nice, so it might actually go, and it did not do that, you know. So now it's pulling back. It would definitely come down into the first phase here from $47.90 to $46.16. But there I'm not actually buying. I have an order all the way down here at $44.10 currently. I might change that if we get closer to phase 1. Then I might split it up. But currently, that is how I have where I have currently a new order to get in, but I have still money on the sideline to add here into different phases when we go down here all the way down to $41.50, potentially even below the $40 mark. But if we go below the $40 mark, it will be really briefly in this drop, you know. So this will last a couple of minutes, maybe even a couple of seconds, and you're gonna see also then a move back to the upside like this. The next one is Injective. Tapped here into phase 1. I saw it earlier when I was preparing this, that we were here around that level. Got a bounce from here already. Same thing here, you know, so if you would have caught this and you would have started to layer orders in here, you would be up here 4% right now on Injective. So the same way that I'm up on Sui already, you know, so with here roughly 10%. Okay, this is already pulling back again. So Injective is looking a little bit stronger than right now, because I would be still up 20% on that trade. So here the levels are $30.14, $28.42, $26.28. Again, these are all Fibonacci levels, you know, where I'm going to buy. And here again, 10, 30, 30% and 30% on the side. If it drops any lower, somewhere here back to like $23, $24, where I can then pounce if I really have to. I'm gonna also talk about some other coins here. Casper on the 4-hourly chart, you see here you get now a short-term bounce. If we get above 18 cents, you might get another attempt at 19 cents, potentially even a fake out all the way up to 20 cents 0.8. But trust me, guys, even if it goes up there, you're gonna get a really ugly wick straight back down. So if I would take a chance here on a trade like that, I would have close to 20 cents my take profit, because that I know if it sends here to this level and then comes straight back down in that major pullback that we are expecting right now, your order might even not get fit and it jumps over your stop loss if it's happening really, really quickly, you know. So, and that can happen on futures and on spot. So you want to make sure that you get out before you actually reach here a level that can strike like a nerve. So the next one here, Coty. Coty is one of the coins that gives me right now headache, you know. So because I'm that much underwater on this trade, but it's fine. You saw I have no liquidation price, more or less no liquidation price on it. It has to go below a cent to get me out of it. So here you see another reason why I don't like these early breakouts out of these falling wedges, triangles, whatever, you know, because when they're happening too early, you most of the time get these huge fake outs and they're hammering you then here to the downside. Here Coty on the shorter time frames could get a retest at 18 cents 0.4, maybe even go here past that that high here, close also to 19 cents 5 or something like that. But again, this on at least on the 4-hourly chart or the daily chart will end in a really, really ugly wick with a candle body most likely being somewhere here, and then you get continuation to the downside. Yeah, so before I forget that, to the downside, the levels for Coty, if we pull further back here on the daily chart, I want to mention that to you guys, that you see it. So here, there's one major level of support somewhere around here, close to where we bounced already at 15 cents 7 is one, and then here below that here all the way down to 13 cents 2. So here, if we keep going lower, I believe that here 13 cents 0.2 might be the third phase for Coty. I don't believe that we go on any lower than that. And in between, you would have your second phase here at 14 cents 0.5. And the first area where I would start adding or opening a position of 10% would be around the 15 cents 0.8 level. So what I'm gonna do with my Coty trade is, if we get to 13 cents 0.2, I also gonna dollar cost average down my entry for the reversal back to the upside. So then let me talk about quick here about Rune. Rune also, as you can see here, pull back from that resistance level. So we got really close here to $7.68. And getting here pullback also here. Rune, really strong bounce already. How much is that? So that is a 7% bounce. Here, another reason why I always say that Rune is one of the strong coins when Bitcoin goes down, because it always bounces. It's one of the coins that bounces back the hardest to the upside. So, but here you see there is still major downside on the indicators. Here, I would have my first phase at $6.75, the next one at $6.40, and then around the $5.86 level would be my third phase, again the golden ticket. So, but most likely the highest chance of getting filled will be here in that green block here from $6.40 all the way down to $6.15 approximately. So here you want to have a lot of limit orders when we come down to get filled, and then catch that move back here to the upside with a break of $7.68 into a new all-time high here. The next one is Aptos. Aptos also ugly move here today to the downside. We are bouncing here from the $13 mark right now. So if we can reclaim $13, what is this? $13.56 approximately. You also might potentially get another run into $15 here to the upside. This is, because we're on the 4-hourly chart, this is only a small bounce. It's not crazy. So this is here almost a 4% bounce currently. So for a short-term trade, this looks good currently. But again, if you're trading something like this, have really tight stop losses on your trades. So without tight stop losses, I can tell you, once this is turning around again after that short-lived bounce, you're going to get most likely liquidated on your position. So you don't want to do that. I've actually spoke about, let's talk about ICP really quick. Also, ICP getting here bounce from the $13 mark, more or less. Here is some support in that area here. Let me draw this a little bit lower. So as you can see here, so here's some support in that box from $12.76 to $13.22. As long as that box is holding, you also might most likely get a retest close to the $15 mark here in the short term, because also here everything on the indicators looks like that this might be a short-lived bottoming candle where you get one more retest here. It's still a lower high compared to these highs here, and then you get the major flush here into your golden ratio. So and then on the way down, this here is your phase 1, phase 2, and that green block here would be your phase 3. From $11 all the way down to $10.40 approximately. That is your phase 3, and the other numbers you can mark out here already out of the chart. So then the next one is Optimism. Optimism on the 4-hourly chart getting a bounce from the golden ratio currently, where we are sitting in. If I go here to a daily chart, so there you see it a little bit better. But also here, you see this is a topping formation here. So that is a spinning top. And we got now the reaction out of that spinning top to the downside. So also here further downside might be in the cards here in the short term. Then we go most likely all the way back down to $2.11, $2, maybe even $1.95. So here between $2.11 and $1.95, there I would have my 30% for the third phase. Your second phase is at $2.20 to $2.25 approximately. And if we break back into the golden ratio, that is your first phase, where you have the first 10%, just in case that you're going to get here one more attempt to go a little bit lower, and then you actually get that short-lived bounce back to the upside. So I know a lot of you guys want to talk about Uni, what's going on with Uni. I saw you guys panicking again for no reason about that small drop here. So first of all, there is major support that we are bouncing off from right now. I had an eye on that the whole day, and I was expecting a bounce from here. As long as this $17 level holds all the way down to $16.40, I'm not concerned about the Uni trade. So lose $16.40 and I will get concerned, and I will cut the trade at any loss where I will be potentially standing at. So, but otherwise, this looks like, look at this here, about to get a buy signal. RSI strong pointed to the upside. The MACD potentially in the next 2 hours turning here more around with a lighter red candle. Hence, we get another move here to $17.80, $18, something like this. If you want to get out of the trade, use that move here back to the upside to get out if you want to get out. So I can tell you, I'm gonna hold it a little bit longer, because I still believe and that here over the next 16-20 hours potentially we might get a retest here into the $19.50 level, maybe even all the way up here, just to fake people out, so, and to basically lure them in that this was already the drop, so they push it a little bit higher, so my take profit gets hit, so, and then they run it down again massively, so this is how market makers are usually working, so this is also how people that are shorting a lot are playing the market, that have the liquidity to move the price, because how to better lure you into the market or back into the market by showing off that this drop might be potentially over, and turning it around pushing it a little bit higher in most of the coins, just a little bit higher, and then slam you. So and then you get completely liquidated, because you thought, oh, it actually broke that high, so it will now run much higher, So this was the drop, So we are back on track. We go now back into new highs, So and then they just do something like this, and you're out, So exactly for that reason, if you want to get out of that uni trade, wait for that move here into that green box. Red box where you have a lot of sell orders. That will get you slightly in profit above all of your entry prices across the board usually, and that's where you cut it then. If you don't want to run that risk, I will take the risk personally. You do what you want to do, So I'm gonna take that risk to run here potentially into the take profit point. So if it turns around here somewhere, and it breaks below $18.20 after it came here into that area, then I just cut it there, and I'm still like 1% in profit, so like 5% in profit. So I still did not lose any money, so when this is happening. So, but right now, this looks like that we are potentially bouncing back to the upside. Now, let's look at ETH Fi that somebody was requesting. So let me see here, where do I have an empty chart for that? Let me actually use, where is it? Not this one. This chart. No, the next one, this one. So let me use that for that. So I never charted that coin, so I have no fucking clue about this coin. So let's have a look here. Yeah, rejected from major resistance all the way up here. No surprise that this is going lower. So if it gets a bounce here from $2.76, as it does currently, so on the 4-hourly time frame might be looking stronger. Yeah, so here, same thing again, like with many other coins, So if you look more or less on any coin right now, you have here a downward sloping trend line along these lower highs. If it breaks above that downward sloping trend line, you might get another run into that big resistance here of $3.14. If it rejects from $2.76 and it goes below that, I would cut the trade, because then it starts breaking down into lower levels. And this is how I would play this right now. So then let's have a look here. I'm gonna look at some other chart requests. Again, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe right now. Highly appreciate that, And again, smash up the like button, destroy the like button, guys. I want to get at least over 200 likes. We're at 186. We have almost 500 people here, so at least half of you are not having slept yet the like button. So let me have a look here. So Celestia is something that I want to look at, because I'm a little bit selfish here, because I'm exposed myself in that coin. So, but I need another chart for that. So I'm gonna use, which chart I'm gonna use for that? Let's use the AVAX chart. So the AVAX chart. So do I have here my drawings on? No. So is it on Binance? Yes. So here again, like clockwork, guys, So I have mentioned it many times before, that when we start breaking, so I'm gonna explain it again for the guys that have missed it, when I explained it a couple of weeks ago, before we actually broke it to the upside. So what did I tell you guys? I told you, once we are breaking above the golden ratio and we start breaking here above $6, we're gonna run into the 1.618, and what's going to happen, regardless how high we are going, as long as we're not breaking the 2.618, what's going to happen with the 1.618? It will act as support every single time when price pulls back. So, and this is exactly what's happening here right now. Again, of course, if Bitcoin starts to pull back further, that will get broken and we start to come back really quickly into lower levels here. But also here, if I look at this right now, again, phase one is the golden ratio here. You have the prices on the side, where you can set your limit orders for a new position. And from here all the way down, we need to count like a 20% move approximately. No, sorry, from the high. So from the high, so this is 37%. Let's get to like 32%, that might be realistic. So here, $6.23. So between the $6.23 and $6.50, there would be my third phase for 30%. And here in the middle in between from $6.75 to $7, I would have my second phase. And then here from $7.33 to $7.57, my first phase. And I would stack my orders again according to that. And then if we break below the $6 mark, you know, there you should have your other 30% available to buy the dip. But also here, in the shorter time frames, it looks strong to get a bounce back here to most likely $9 in the short term. You know, so if we can break higher than that, we have to wait and see if that is something that Celestia can do, and if Bitcoin plays along this at the same time. Now, I'm gonna have a look here also on. Let me see here. Gonna have a look at. So what did people ask twice for so far? So this is always the same, guys. Just spamming the same coin. That's not working. So did I see this before from someone else? No. So just give me a second to find here something. So I'm gonna do GRT. So because I just saw GRT was asked twice. So GRT. Is this again the wrong chart for GRT? Because I know that I have a GRT chart, but where is my I think I know where my GRT chart is. 1 second here, guys. Here. I think here's my GRT chart that I have. So let's have a look here. No. Where's my GRT chart? Is it here? No, this is an old one. Okay, one more try. Let's see. So GRT. There we go. I knew I had it somewhere. So here we are retesting on GRT this upward sloping trend line. Look at that sharp angle, that sharp incline that we are going up here. So it's absolutely normal that we are breaking this at some point. So here the first level where I would majorly open a new position would be around 26 cents here, the 1.618. We have hit the 2.618, so the 1.618 is the next major level of support. Also, if I draw a line from left to the right, you see here from the past, there is prior major support until we broke that. So now we broke this resistance, and that should now act as support when we come back down. Major level where I would open a new position. So here, if you want to layer orders in the same way that I explained it, then my phase 1 would be around 29 cents. Then my phase 2 would be around 27.5. And my phase 3 would be here in that golden ratio. And then again, if we break lower, anything below 24 cents and 23 cents, major opportunity to buy here before this is going back past 35 cents into a new all-time high here. So on the daily chart, this looks like that this might soon turn around already. So it might be also one of the stronger coins here in the short term. So you have to understand some coins will pull back faster and harder than others, and they are also one of the coins then when Bitcoin keeps going down that barely moving. So I give you an example there where in the past some coins when Bitcoin went to the downside and they had already substantially pulled back, also on the indicators almost completely cooled off. They were moving 3-4% to the downside when Bitcoin was moving minus 8%, you know. So, and then you have the other coins that have not done this, you know, and they're going to pull with Bitcoin down. And these are the coins that are doing 10-20%, you know. So it's always a nightmare to go through all coins to actually find them that have already majorly pulled back and most likely are getting a shallow pullback when Bitcoin pulls back further. But the other problem is some of these coins where you think, okay, they're almost done, and Bitcoin pulls back, they're gonna dip another 10-15%, you know. So it's really hard to identify them beforehand. But once you know these coins after the first major pullback, these are the same set of coins that will rinse and repeat the same thing in every other major pullback in this bull run. And usually you have, I need to go and check now, but you have usually 3 to 7 pullbacks, major pullbacks in a bull run before you reach the top. So there are more pullbacks definitely to come here. Guys, we are at 54 minutes. Again, I want to keep the stream under an hour. So I'm gonna give away $500 now on AlphaX. I forgot yesterday to do it. Sorry for that. So here from number 9 to number 28. Number 9 to 28. Let's see who won. Number 18. So number 18 is here. 1678-2350. If that's your number, you want $500. Send an email to info@amcrypto.us within 24 hours. If you are lazy and not within 24 hours, I give it away tomorrow to somebody else. Again, if you sign up on AlphaX, you get initially $100 absolutely for free. And if you deposit out of your own money $100, you have a chance to win here $500 twice per week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in here once again. Don't forget, smash up the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I hope to see you with more discounts tomorrow.